The path of possession. What the heck is that? Let's find out right now on What the Fetch. Hey weirdos, I'm Grant. Before I dive into this subject, I want to stress that due to the nature of this subject, there are some slightly mature themes ahead. The goal of this video is not to cover all things negative or demonic. That's too big a subject for one video. It's to give you insight into what the path of possession is. I'll cover more in other videos. The path of possession is a term I use to describe the tactic that negative entities use to wear down a person's will. Most of the entities you may encounter in life will be intelligent human hauntings or residual. Occasionally you may encounter the odd poltergeist now and then. But if you're living a normal, socially active, loving life, you may never experience a negative entity. They are very rare for the average person, but the phenomenon is real. Some like to call these entities demons, but I prefer the term negative entities because the term demon conjures up images of huge, powerful, horned beings with ultimate power over us all. This image automatically empowers the entity, and empowering a negative entity is the last thing you want to do. You see, Hollywood and reality TV would have us believe that negative entities are stronger than they are, or that they work differently than they do. A fact that the negative entities themselves take advantage of. But these things don't just sit there infesting homes, lying in wait to pounce on you as you walk by, and then bam, now you've got a demon following you around like some emo kid's dream. And guys, they can't be put in a box and sold on eBay. They just don't work like that. I've had a lot of experience with negative entities, and in my experience, I've learned that negative entities can hurt you, even severely, but they don't seem to be able to kill you unless you surrender completely. It's like there's some unwritten law that limits what they can do. The goal of a negative entity seems to be to wear down your will in order to take over your mind. If you willingly let them wear you down to the point where you give up, then they can take over and break all the rules, because you let them. It's like a loophole, you see. It's sort of like technically you're the one doing the hurting or killing, not them. Hey, don't look at me. I didn't make this stuff up. I'm just going on what I've experienced. I know it sounds scary. That's because it can be. To be honest, there's a lot at stake here. I've lost several clients because they wouldn't take it seriously enough or didn't have the support they need. But most clients do, are able to overcome it, and are back on track, living a normal, happy life. As scary as this sounds, the course of action for these entities, their modus operandi, if you will, is laughably predictable. Some move through the process quickly, affecting one person intensely. Others are what I call slow burners. They play the long game, working slowly and discreetly over many years, but for a huge payoff that affects many people at once by tainting one person who has influence over all the others. Think suicide cults, stuff like that. Either way, here's a general overview of how it goes. The precise way the entities exact this plan varies immensely, but knowing the overall gameplay will make it easy to spot. First and foremost, the most important thing, they don't just pop up out of nowhere. Like lions chasing a gazelle, negative entities only attack the weak and the sick. We're talking about people who are easily obsessed or addicted to something. People who are doing something really morally wrong. Something jail-worthy, like life sentence-worthy. Once a negative entity finds you tasty, as I like to call it, it'll start to make its move. It typically starts with some type of mystery to solve in your life. It may take the form of some sort of paranormal activity, a conspiracy, or just plain paranoia. The mystery is the spark that lights the flame of obsession. Obsession leads to isolation. This is when the plan goes into overdrive. The next thing you know, because you're obsessing, you're not sleeping. So you stay home from work and turn down social opportunities. This pushes people away. If you aren't already addicted to something, you may turn to substance abuse for comfort, to find sleep, or to aid your weary mind. Now you're a mess. And your ties to support are cut off one by one. You close the blinds, shutting out the world entirely. Then, with no support or ties to rationality in the real world, you surrender completely in one last failed attempt to find relief and acceptance. Now, guys, this is more or less a zoomed out overview of the process that is followed in every one of the many negative hauntings I've dealt with. In all honesty, I question at what point along this path does the natural decay of depression stop and the paranormal aspects start. But I do know that the crucial moment, the moment when the chance of reversal is highest, is before the isolation is complete. Once the isolation is complete, it is very difficult to reverse. Removal of the entity is the easy part. Keeping it away is the hard part. The interesting part about removal is that, in my experience, religious provocation of any type works every time. And I stress any type. But that religion has to be real and one that the client subscribes to. It can't be the Church of the Jedi, no matter how much I'd like it to be, but I don't necessarily believe that angels are standing behind me when I do this. I just feel like the best way to combat negativity is with self-empowerment, and no one feels more empowered than when they believe their God and all creation are on their side. When you remove the entity, you don't destroy it. You're simply buying the client time to change their lifestyle so that the entity won't be enticed to return. Once the entity has been removed, it's time to focus on keeping it from coming back. Key to success in fighting this process is twofold: combating the isolation and removing the root cause for the weakness that started it all. Combating the isolation. Combating the isolation involves at least one strong, love-filled relationship. And guys, by love, I mean unconditional, altruistic, sincere help. Someone who wouldn't do anything that isn't in the best interest of the client. This needs to be someone the client is very close to and trusts implicitly. This person needs to work tirelessly to provide support, and you need to keep the support person fully aware of the whole process and what they're getting themselves into, because that entity will do its best to drive a wedge between the support person and the client in order to keep that support person from ruining the negative entity's plan. Now, you'll know the client is in this stage when basic duties are being neglected. The lawn is overgrown, their blinds are all drawn, the house is dirty, sink full of dishes, houseplants are dead or removed from the house altogether, and the house may smell of feces or rotting meat, and it will just have an overall oppressive feel. All of these things need to be reversed. Now, don't you or the support person do it for them. The client needs to do it themselves. Then the client needs to be immediately involved in social activities, like real social activities, not just social media. Book clubs, yoga class, bowling league, jelly of the month club, I don't know, anything that will get them out of the house and back into society. Finding the cause. As you fight the isolation, it is crucial that you uncover the original weakness that attracted this entity in the first place. Sometimes it's very easy and apparent, other times it's not. Sometimes you have to do some serious detective work or drag it out of the client. And trust me, that entity will pit the client against you and the support person, and also pit the support person against you, so that you don't uncover the weakness, which is the entity's strongest weapon. This weakness can be substance abuse, spousal or child abuse, rape, molestation, incest, pedophilia, etc. It's the ugly part. It's the awkward conversation part. It's not easy, and it's not comfortable, but it is essential to the client's survival. If you don't find the root cause and fix it, it doesn't matter how many times you kick out the entity, it will return. Because it's the person's actions that brought this all about in the first place. So it's the person who needs to end it. It's sort of like having the flu. A fever is just a symptom of the real problem. Getting the fever down is important, but if you don't remove the virus, you haven't really solved the problem. Remember, Hollywood movies and countless TV shows, both reality and scripted, teach us that demons are something very different than what they truly are. And guys, it is not hip or fashionable to pretend you are tormented by a demon in an attempt to garner sympathy and attention, when there are countless numbers of people who are truly plagued by this. It's like pretending you have terminal cancer. You're spreading disinformation for selfish reasons, drawing attention and resources away from those who really need help, and ultimately hurting those who have a real problem. And in my opinion, possession cases should absolutely never be dealt with publicly, much less on national TV. It is absolutely counterproductive to the process of healing I just described before. How is the client supposed to heal such deep wounds with the whole world watching, judging, and commenting on it all? Now guys, this is just the very surface of one aspect of negative hauntings and possession, but I'm sure it's raised many questions in your mind. Please leave a comment down below, and I'll do my best to answer them. If you like this video, guys, consider liking, subscribing, and sharing, and click that notification bell so you know when I make a new video. Thanks for stopping by, guys. Stay weird.